Hey everyone, this is Unit 1, Lesson 8. EQ is how can we apply the properties of integer exponents to generate equivalent numerical expressions. It's the same as it has always been since Lesson 1. LT, I can simplify expressions that contain products and quotients raised to a power. All we're going to be doing is we're going to be simplifying some more expressions. These kinds of expressions are just going to be a kind of bit more in depth and kind of like next level expressions. And we're going to see how we're going to be taking care of those kinds of expressions when we see them. All right, so for the brain starter, what I want you to do is I want you to copy down number 1 and number 2. And for the brain starter, all we're going to do is we're going to have you try and attempt to simplify these expressions in the best way that you possibly can. All right, because the object of the mini lesson is to actually correctly go over in how we are going to answer or simplify these two expressions. So for the mini lesson, I want you to copy down the same two expressions from the brain starter, and I'm actually going to rewrite the problem over here. We have x raised to the second, y raised to the fourth, raised to the third power. All right, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to take a look at this, and we're going to notice that we're using the power rule. Okay, we're going to focus on this 1 power and then the exponent, and we're going to separate them. Right? So we're going to have x and the exponent that x had, and we're going to multiply it by the exponent there. So 2 times 3 is going to equal x to the 6th. And then we're going to do the same thing for y. Y was raised to the 4th power times 3. Y is now raised to the 12th power. And our answer is going to become x raised to the 6th power, y raised to the 12th power. For number 2, instead of multiplication going on between two different powers, there's division going on. We have m to the 9th divided by m. Technically, this is to the 1st power, right? So what we could do is we can distribute the 3 to the 9 and to the 1. So what we could do is on top we would have m to the 9 times 3 equals m raised to the 27th over m to the 1 times 3 equals m raised to the 3rd power. And now we can use the quotient rule, and this would be m raised to the 24th power. Or we could have done it a different way. We could have done it where we did the quotient rule first. This inside the parentheses would be m raised to the 9 minus 1, which equals m to the 8th power, and now that's being raised to the 3rd power, and then that would be m raised to the 8 times 3, and that would give us the same answer of m raised to the 24th. So either way, we can answer that question or simplify that expression that way. There are 2 questions that we're copying down in the question section of the mini lesson. How can we apply the power to a product rule? And the second question is how can we apply the power to a quotient rule? So essentially what we want to do is we're just going to be distributing the n to each part of each power that's inside the parentheses. Okay, so same thing with the division. Okay, so for example, for the first one, let's say we had 2a raised to the 2nd power in parentheses, and then outside the parentheses it was raised to the 3rd power. The 3 would go with the 2, and the 3 would also go with the a raised to the 2nd power. So 2 would now be raised to the 3rd power. A would be raised to the 2 times the 3rd power, which is 2 raised to the 3rd power, a raised to the 6th power. And now since we have 2 raised to the 3rd power, what we want to do is we actually want to multiply that out. So our answer is going to be 2 times 2 times 2, which equals 8. So our new answer is going to be 8a raised to the 6th power. And then an example that we could do for division would be what we just did for the mini lesson, but we can come up with another one. Let's say we had a raised to the 5th, a raised to the 2nd, this raised to the 3rd. This would be equal to a raised to the 5 times 3 on top over a raised to the 2 times 3 on bottom, which would be a raised to the 15th on top over a raised to the 6th. Use the quotient rule. It would be a raised to the 9th. Alright, so for work time, what we're going to do is we're going to write down Unit 1, Lesson 8 worksheet. We're going to copy down all 6 questions and simplify them. This one is a little of extension because there's more than there are 3 things that we're separating. We're separating the 3, the 3, the A, and the B. And let's see what you guys come up with as an answer. Alright, for our closing is going to be a little different today. It's not closing / summary. We are actually going to be answering or simplifying this expression. Okay, this is going to be raised to the 2nd power. I want everyone to make sure that we make our answer visible, whether it's A, B, C, or D. If you have any questions, feel free